Welcome to another edition of Dan Frequently Asked Questions. In this edition, we're going to be addressing a condition related to the joints and whether or not the person will be able to dive. Keep watching. We got a question from a diver who asked us that they have non-radiographic axial spondyloarthritis. Now that sounds like an incredibly complicated term, but what that basically means is that they have a condition of inflammation that gradually leads to the bones in the hip and the back becoming fused or stuck together. They're wondering whether they'll be able to take the anti-inflammatory medication that they're on, and recent stress and lung function tests were all normal, and they were wondering whether they can dive. Now, non-radiographic axial spondyloarthritis, or NRAX-SPA, is not well understood in rheumatology. The symptoms vary from person to person, and doctors have to individually evaluate a person. Back pain is often the first sign of the disease, and it may be problematic for diving. Divers carry between 80 and 100 kilograms of weight, not to mention the additional gear like cameras and additional cylinders they may be carrying. And therefore, people need to realize that things like the boat ride and other related activities surrounding the dive may have an impact on the condition, not just the diving itself, which, being suspended in water, means you're largely weightless. Now, if you're unassisted on a boat, rocking and getting in and out of the water, that can often be challenging. In a similar way, climbing up dive ladders with gear on can be quite challenging. And all of these scenarios can potentially exacerbate your symptoms. The shoulders usually bear much of the brunt of the weight, and depending on how you configure your system, you can transfer much of that weight to the hips. Also consider whether the condition is affecting other joints, because that may occur with this particular condition. Your effort to relieve joint pain involves achieving neutral buoyancy, but that requires some physical exertion. Additionally, this particular condition can eventually become more significant or severe, in which tendons and other aspects of the body, such as capsules surrounding joints and the bones themselves, can fuse, which reduces mobility. It can take years to progress or never progress, but it is always a consideration. The bottom line is that your physician should consider all the symptoms related to the condition, including associated conditions such as psoriasis plaques, gastrointestinal upset, eye inflammation that can be associated with the condition, and your general fitness to dive. The guidelines for diving may exceed the exertion required for land-based sports. And Dan can help you by providing guidelines, and these will allow your physician to make informed decisions about your fitness to dive. The most important consideration is whether or not you can handle diving's physical demands. The medication is something that your physician should discuss with you. If it's controlled and in lower dose, that in and of itself should not be a reason for you not to be able to dive, unless it causes symptoms such as dizziness, nausea, vomiting, abdominal problems, etc. If your pain isn't adequately controlled, or may be confused with pain-related decompression illness, that could also present certain problems. Basically, anything that compromises your safety is a contraindication to diving. The condition involves inflammation, and it must be understood that the pathophysiology of decompression illness may overlap and in fact even exacerbate the condition, or the condition may predispose you to decompression illness. For that reason, it would be very wise to undertake only conservative diving. I hope that these comments have been useful to you, and in the future, please don't hesitate to contact us if there are any changes related to the management of your condition and considerations related to diving, and give us feedback about how you fared and whether or not you were ultimately found fit to dive. Thank you for the question, and until next time, safe diving.